First, you cannot intimidate me with conspiracy theorist shaming. My time on this world has often shown things and people are not what they seem to be. Many times, focus presents itself when you lessen the intensity on action. Possibilities surface for your consideration. This said, military strategy, as it relates to having boots on the ground, oftentimes call for a smoke screen. Sometimes events are perfectly placed as a result of chance. Opportunities may then be utilized as a defense away from the point of principal attack. Many times, an attack is geared towards an obvious weakness. People have pressure points that, when activated, can cause an expected response. Groups are nothing more than a collective of people. A study of what has worked in the past can help achieve behavior modification. Now, stay with me, please, stay with me. Now, let's state the obvious. Mrs. King could be a callous sociopath, a malignant narcissist, a psychopath, or a grade A cocksucker. She could be a person who does not have an inkling of concern about race, highly unlikely being that she's a member of the Tea Party, but has internalized biases and is willing to vomit controversy through the airwaves. She could be a Tea Party lowlife with racial elitist yearnings, or a composite of many other undesirable combinations. Now, for the not so easily perceived, she could be a result of a CIA project, one like Third Chance, MK Delta, or Bluebird, etc. I contend we have people in various positions who have been subjected to various forms of behavior modification and other means of control. Fact is, we do not have to go back very far to examine the possibility as being a high probability. Check out the U.S. Air Force Scientific Advisory Board 1996 publication. I caution you, it is a long, very long read. It is a 14-volume study. There you will see mention of what is probably old hat by now, but was anxiously awaited as a future development. Speaking of the advancement of weapons called New World Vistas, think biological process control. Consider certain developments in neuroscience and what that can mean in the wrong hands. Surely, scientists have learned how to develop electromagnetic energy sources. The output could be manipulated, whether that means shaping, pulsing, or focusing. If that can be done, then surely it can be coupled with the human body. If this is true, then could not emotions and actions be controlled or influenced? Transmitting suggestions would be a breeze, would it not? Now that we see things are not always what they appear to be, let's dwell on the action. We should have figured out subplots can draw away from focus on the main plot, no matter why that may be desired. She said, quote,
Obama doesn't have to run for re-election again. A lot of these guys do. So if they're doubling down with the White House on what is increasingly proving to be a naive approach to this evil, they could pay with their jobs. Listen, I would like to think that these guys could pay with their lives, hanging from a noose in front of the U.S. Capitol building. Because what they are doing is they are putting their own interests above that of America. And to me, that is criminal. Criminal. And guess what? Most of those members who are opting out of attending the speech are members of the Congressional Black Caucus. And their districts are all dumb clucks. Because the dumb clucks wouldn't be electing these people if they knew better. So all of these Congressional Black Caucus people, the representatives, they reside in safe, congressional districts. And several of the members have said in the media that they see the speech as disrespectful to the president. How do people like this get elected to represent us in Congress? Because there are stupid people out there in those congressional districts who are so ignorant, it's dangerous. Because these people that they elect into Congress vote. And when they vote, their vote affects us. I don't know who I'm angrier with. Quite frankly, I don't know who I'm angrier with. These people, these heinous people who occupy the halls of Congress, or the dumb clucks that put them there. Stupid, stupid people. Our lives are on the line and all they can think of is skin color. You know, all of us are going to turn black if we end up in a cage on fire. Stupid people.
End quote. Indeed, there have been people who have failed this country due to a naive approach to evil. So lawmakers and representatives of the people, color aside for now, should be hanged simply for boycotting Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech. She is calling for the death of fellow Americans because they refuse to invest their time consuming propaganda. Whether we are speaking of her or a puppet master, it does not change the call for death. If putting one's own interest above America is criminal, then why? Why have people of her mindset not slaughtered those who have manipulated markets for self-enrichment? Why have they not provided a dirt nap for the uncompromising, ruthless financial wizards that desire to loot personal bank accounts, loot pensions, loot other assets? If you insist on taking a life, then why not hang one who allows bipartisan complicity of the elimination of America's middle class? Why not poison criminal gangs who pose as political parties? You know, the ones complicit with corporate crooks. Now, I have little good to say about the Congressional Black Caucus. However, since blacks have learned more about the Jewish involvement in the American Britain slave trade and use of black slave labor by Arabs, even to this day, well, that invigorates various narratives. Let's just say for some in the know, trust between Jews and blacks are questionable. This is mainly due not only to history, but many Israeli Jews' insistence of superiority. Fact is, the State of Israel is founded on the legalized institutionalization of Jewish supremacism. Funny that Netanyahu stated, quote, Iran is now gobbling up the nations. We must stand together to stop Iran's march of conquest, subjugation, and terror. End quote. It was convenient that he did not specifically point out where this march has occurred and is currently happening. His attempt to solidify his claim is by making references of support, which is a bogus move. He's speaking of the Iranian support of Assad. Yet Israel supposedly has a remarkable alliance with America that is above politics. Why, I ask? Why, since America has ties with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? Does he want to shine the spotlight on America's support of rebels in Syria? Of course, I can see him overlooking that. After all, the U.S. State Department spokesman, Pat Ventrell, that's capital Ventrell, made it even more hazy when he was addressed about the topic by stating, in response to the $60 million that was given in direct aid to the rebels, not to American people, but to the rebels, which included military rations and medical kits. When he was confronted regarding the assistance given, if it was going to include military training. His reply was, quote, "I really don't have anything for you on that. Our policy has been non-lethal assistance," end quote. Funny how the Prime Minister can overlook the construct of illegal settlements on Palestinian land. He, like others before him, will continue to use sympathy evoked by the Holocaust as a handy cover for Israeli atrocities. Don't you dare claim, by the way, I am trivializing the memory of the most abominable act. First, the most abominable act? Well, that's questionable. Second, no, I do not trivialize human misery. No, I don't do that. That's sick. No, I am showcasing a small part of the royal scam in play. Before you come to me with this claim, go to Jewish mouthpieces that elevate the misery of their people to the exclusion of others. You can just miss me with that shit. The only reason Israel even stands is due to a special type of crazy. So you may think that Israel exists due to a promise made by God himself that I would be inviting ridicule to call its legitimacy into account. Well, if their God allowed his words, quote, "Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the Euphrates," end quote. Well, if you think this is an excuse to take by force and trickery a land lawfully inhabited by others, then I want no part of that duplicitous representation that you call a god. Back to Andrea. Did you really think I was going to support this turkey neck filth? It is not my biblical responsibility or moral obligation to listen to the call for arms by a war criminal. I did so that I may educate myself, so that I may see what he was trying to indoctrinate the American public with, what the next move may be, so that I may possibly anticipate it. You see, some blacks, like people from other quote-unquote racial groups, are not necessarily dumbed-down minions. Some blacks, unlike certain Christian Zionists, do not buy into the ideology of a Zionist empire or support American Israeli colonialism and English-speaking militarism. When certain Tea Party members are faced with what they deem as an uppity black, they will resort in an equally disgusting fashion. I have found this out from attending many Tea Party events. So this is first-hand knowledge that this can and does occur frequently. You see, this American who is clothed in black skin comprehends your loud, bombastic declarations, Andrea. There is no love of country present in your words. What is clear is your insistence of avoiding the distinction between your accusations of criminal and unchangeable truth. However, in a deluded authoritarian mind, by definition, those are synonymous, no? Indeed, it takes a special brand of crazy to be a part of a private agenda which was made into a mass movement of working Americans. Those who back policies opposite of their own self-interest and the interest of fellow Americans. Thank you for listening.